Welcome to the Uncle's Channel. Thanks for watching today, and let's continue our journey to finish every single Game Boy and Game Boy Color game. Dave was on a game called DuckTales for the original Game Boy. Now, if you enjoy DuckTales on the NES, you will enjoy DuckTales on the Game Boy as well, because it is essentially the same game, just watered down in most aspects. All the core levels are there, all the core enemies are there, all the core gameplay action is there, your little pogo stick action, all the core music is there. It's just simply not going to be quite as good as the NES version. And yes, it is easy to start comparing the differences between the two, especially if you love the NES one as much as I do. I think it's like one of the all-time great NES games. And so if you're comparing the differences, yes, it makes you view the Game Boy version a little bit less. And I shamefully put it as like a B tier listing or a C tier listing on my Disney Capcom tier list. And that ranking is just completely unfair. Replaying the game and sort of like trying to distance myself from the comparison factor here, this game has all the charm of the original, all the core, like, little graphical fun factors of the original, and just simply the overall charm of the original. And so this game is certainly better than I ever gave it credit for, because the spirit of DuckTales does live alive in the Game Boy version. Now, this particular game did give us our cue a good bit, because Wyatt Penguin, as well as Joey Ferris and Game Room 06, all requests I cover sooner than later. So it is a well-requested game in the series here. And so I'm glad we're finally getting into it. But there's a game that you want to see me cover sooner than later. Let me know the name of the game in the comments down below. And just like DuckTales, I'll move it right on up in the queue. Now, as I start the videos up, looking at the box art for the game first. And the box art for DuckTales is surprisingly not the same as the NES. Generally, when they do a port onto the Game Boy, they just keep the artwork exactly the same. But instead, we have a completely original artwork here. We have Launchpad and his little helicopter getting ready to take Scrooge McDuck here off on his treasure hunting adventure. He's got his little map over there, his little knapsack, his little pickaxe. Scrooge McDuck is looking awful mischievous here at the same time. And overall, great cover. I can't say like if I like it better than NES or not. I like them almost equally. But there is something about the colors on this cover that I really do enjoy, like the autumn atmosphere, the sunset in the background. I don't know. It's a great cover for a game, and like I said, maybe better than NES, but man, that's a toss-up. Now, when you load the game up here, you have the title screen, which is essentially the same as the NES version. The logo for the game, the DuckTales chiptune theme song played in the background. I do choose the normal difficulty because it's the default setting here. And when you go to the level select screen, it is not going to be quite as good as the NES version, because you're not going to have the little computer system here, little map up top where Scrooge McDuck is sort of choosing his location. You simply have a list of the 5 levels that you can go to. And so the levels are exactly the same. It's just simply not going to be, all the little bells and whistles from the NES are not quite there. Now, I do choose the Amazon first because I'm essentially going to go down the list here and keep that same order. Now, when you load up, it is classic DuckTales in every right, because you're playing as Scrooge McDuck. You got your little pogo stick here. You can bounce on the pogo stick to jump a little bit higher. You can bounce on the pogo stick to take enemies out, open up a treasure chest, traverse environment like thorns and whatnot that you might not be able to walk across without getting hurt. And I do find out pretty fast that not all the holes lead to secret areas, because the first hole I thought was going to lead to the underground, I fell in and died pretty much immediately, which is possibly one of the fastest deaths I've had in this challenge, which is pretty sad because this is not a very difficult game at all. But regardless, as you journey through here, the enemies are going to be pretty much all the same. In the Amazon, the gorillas are going to be coming out to attack you. The little bees are going to journey across the screen trying to attack you as well. You have these little rose bush piranha plants are going to try to come out and try to eat you a little bit. And you also have these spiders in the underground when you finally do journey down into the underground. And the spiders have that great action of taking them out, because you have the little stones off to the side. You have to get like a little hockey move out and sort of shoot the stone up there to take them out. And so all the core action is there as far as like the enemies go and sort of journeying through it. Now, when you're pretty much done exploring the base level of the jungle here and the caves down below, you can climb a little vine and go up to the top of the tower. Launchpad is going to allow you to grip onto his helicopter, sort of traverse you over some gaps, and you're going to get to some falling blocks here, or some falling walkways that you're journeying across. And you are going to notice a fair bit of lag here, because there's just simply so many sprites that are moving at one individual time on the screen that the hardware just simply cannot keep up with that. So we are going to have a good bit of lag in this particular area. But eventually we journey a little bit further. We go up into the Inca Tower. The natives are going to try to take you out here, have the little spears they're throwing at you. And can you really blame them? I mean, Scrooge McDuck is coming in here to steal their treasure, and colonizers do not have a good reputation with the natives at all. So it makes complete sense that they are defending their treasure at all costs. You get to the end of the little corridor here, and there's a little statue that says you have to pay like $300,000 in order to continue on. And so if you play the NES version, you know that is essentially a false or a red flag, or a false flag, or a yellow flag. It's a flag. We're just going to say it's a flag. And so you journey all the way back and you can traverse the top of the level. And that's going to lead you all the way to the boss here. And his name is Zarduk. And I did have to look that up because I had no clue what this statue golem's name was. But Zarduk is his name. And he can basically sort of jump back and forth. Very predictable moveset here. And all you have to do is pogo stick it on his head about 3 or 4 times. And you take him out. And when you do defeat him, he drops a treasure, which is going to be the scepter. And you collect that. And you have your first of your 5 treasures that you have to collect. Now, like I mentioned a few times in this, there are a few things missing in this level as far as like some of the exploratory parts. Also, there's one part where like a boulder is supposed to chase after you, like an Indiana Jones type scene, which would have fit perfectly in this particular level. That is also missing. I mean, there's just a few things you're going to notice as you're going through it. Like, it's not the same as the NES. However, like I mentioned earlier, the charm is still there, and there is still a ton of stuff to explore in these levels. You have to sort of keep in mind, it's not the NES version, but the spirit is definitely still there. Now, after you finish up the Amazon, we're going to journey off to Transylvania, and once again, all the core aspects are there. You have the knights, when you do a little, I guess, slap them a little bit or smack the little side of it, their helmets are going to roll off and hit you here. You have the dry bones rip-offs, they're going to sort of come to life and sort of travel across the screen. You have the mummies with the ball and chain. Of course, you can hit the little ball and chain and make them spin out a little bit. The animations are still there. The mirrors that you jump into to make you disappear and teleport to another area of the level, still present, and even the ghosts at the close to haunt you. And so all the core aspects of Transylvania are still there. The layout of the level is a little bit different, and there are not as many corridors to explore, but it's still going to be overall mostly the same. Now, when you get to the boss of Transylvania here is Magica Dispel. I had looked her name up as well. It's been a really long time since I've watched the DuckTales cartoon, and so most of their names have escaped me if they are a core part of the story. And I believe she was in the cartoon a good bit. But she can transform into a bird, traverse the screen here, and all you have to do is pogo stick on her at some point or another. She does come down to the bottom in her human form, or her duck form rather, and shoot out lightning bolts at you. Just stand off to the back of her, and she can't hit you from behind. And so very, very easy to take out. And when she is defeated, she is going to drop a gold coin as your reward. Now, the next level we're going to journey into is going to be the African mines, and I always loved the African mines as a kid. But when you do first start up, there's a key, and it says you cannot journey into the mines without a key, and you have to journey back to Transylvania, and it teleports you directly back there. And all you have to do is walk up to one individual mirror, which is not going to be present when you go through the Transylvania level the first time. But you go into the first mirror here, it's going to teleport you to an area, you get the key, and you're set immediately to open up the door in the mines. And I do believe in the NES version this was a good bit more complicated, or it seemed more complicated as a kid when I was growing up. But it's very, very easy here to find the key. But regardless, when you are exploring the African mines here, you're going to come across some of the most iconic enemies in the entire game. One of my all-time favorites is these little golden slugs that are crawling across the screen. Little animation as they crawl, little eyeballs up top. I just truly do love these little slugs that are crawling across. And we are going to get a slug boss here in a second. You're also going to get the basically the ducks from the Black Lagoon. They're going to hop up, have the pogo stick on their head to traverse over the water level here. Little bats that are hanging from the ceiling. You don't really have to see the bat animation all that much because generally speaking, when you see them hanging from the ceiling, you're going to have like a little rock you can catapult up there. But if you do go slowly, you can see some of the bat animations throughout the level. And also in the African mines, they actually included the rolling boulder to try to come at you and squish you from the original game, which is really confusing. Like, why put it in this level and not the level for the most iconic rolling boulder bit there? But regardless, when you get to the final boss of the African mines, you're going to go up against King Slime, who's really like a Papa Slime here. He got a little gray hair underneath. Really easy, but a really charming looking boss. He can basically sort of turn into a little ball here and roll around the screen, try to hit you. Once again, pogo stick on his head, you'll have him taken out in pretty much no time. I didn't actually write down what he drops here, but he does drop a treasure as well. You can see it on the screen there. We journey off to the Himalayas next, and I said the African mines are one of my favorite levels, but Himalayas are also very top tier for me because there's so much charm in these levels. Like, my favorite thing in almost the entire game is when you basically pogo stick and you land in the snow. He has like this little emotion or a little excitement, or maybe it's like shock when he lands in the snow. Whatever it is, I love the animation of the falling in the snow here. Yes, you lose your pogo stick move, but you gain this amazing animation. And I don't know, it's just one of those things in life that like sparks joy. I need to get like a little pin or a little sticker of Scrooge in the snow, basically having his little excitement fit here. But as you're journeying through it, you are going to get the typical enemies. The little Arctic rabbits are going to hop out, try to attack you, just like in the NES game. You have little goats that are going to come across, try to attack you. The spiders are back in this game. If you journey off into some of the side passages, you are going to find the duck hockey players. I don't think they're the Mighty Ducks. I think they're simply duck hockey players to knock little ice cubes at you, try to take you out. When you get to the final boss here, it's going to be the Abominable Snowman. And he's going to hit the wall and snowballs are going to fall. But if you do not stall, you can use your pogo stick and have a victory for all. I don't know, I'm probably too proud of that little rhyme there. But regardless, all you have to do is pounce on his head. I really do enjoy the boss arena for this. It reminds me of Mega Man, which makes sense. Capcom made all the Mega Man games. This feels like a Mega Man reject boss to a degree. And then we're going to travel off to the moon level at the end here. And the moon level is, the core charm is there, the core level is there. But if you're looking at like the music here, the moon level music is just butchered in this game. It almost sounds like a middle school band is trying to play a complicated piece of music, and this is the sound or the best imitation sound that they can get. And I know I have a friend who's a band director, and I'm probably greatly insulted from that. But I think most people understand when you think of a classic song and a middle school band doing a rendition of it, it just simply does not quite sound like it. Like you can tell what song it is, but it's just simply, it's just usually not that great. And so I'll play a little bit of play right here. Like I said, you can tell what the song is, but it's just simply nowhere near as good. And this is the only version we had. The song would not be of the same iconic status. Now, as you're journeying through the level here, you are going to get your normal aliens. You got the little octopus aliens who are floating in space. Never really understood those. Maybe they're from the cartoon, maybe not. You have the RoboCop-looking ducks that are going to come through and try to punch you out here. You also have the elite snob aliens in their little fancy, I don't know, Victorian outfit journeying across the screen. That's the best way I know how to describe them. And as you're going through here, it's definitely the most complicated or the longest level because you have to find the key to the spaceship. And you have to use the key to basically journey through to find a remote control, which is going to bring Gizmo Duck down to blast a wall out for you to basically continue to advance throughout the level. And you eventually get to the final boss level, who is a space rat. And I never understood it as a kid. And when I was first playing this, I was like, why did they choose a rat for the boss of outer space? Like, it just didn't make a lot of sense to me. But when you defeat the rat, he drops cheese. And it's like, oh, because the moon is sometimes said to be made out of cheese, so it makes sense for a giant mutant rat to live on the moon. I was like, finally, it begins to make sense. But the rat boss is real easy. He basically just journeys back and forth on the bottom level here. Occasionally jumps up there and tries to attack you, but really doesn't seem to ever do that. His name is the Lunar Rat, and like I said, he drops cheese when you defeat him. Now at this point, after you've collected all the treasures, your loot is going to start disappearing from the bottom of the screen, sort of catapulting out here, and it turns out that someone is stealing your treasure, and a message comes across and it says you need to report back to Dracura Manor. And I was like, Dracura? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I looked it up on the NES version. It says Dracula, so it's actually a misprint in the Game Boy version, so it's sort of odd. But Dracura Manor is what we're going to say, which is Transylvania. You go back to Transylvania, journey through the exact same path, get to the same boss arena, and now you're going to go up against basically Dracula Duck. Now his main power here is he can teleport from left to right at the top of the screen, and he's going to throw out a little bat for you to pounce on in order to get the height in order to pounce on his head. And my best advice here is just simply jump whenever he's getting ready to toss the bat out, because the bat matches whichever level you are at on the screen. And if you stay down at the bottom, you really can't pogo stick effectively all the way up to the top. And if you're pogoing stick while you're waiting on it, the bat's too high to actually pogo stick on. So just keep on jumping here. But 3 or 4 pogo sticks on his head, and you take him out. Very, very easy. Now, once he is taken out, Flint, make sure I get his name right, because I had no idea like who this fella actually was. Flint Hart Gloomgold is what it said on the internet when I was looking it up. He may be in the show. He does look like a little familiar from the show, but I can't really remember. I know he's in the NES game, but he appeared along with Dry Spell again, and they're going to start basically traversing up to the top and says, if you want your treasure, you're going to have to beat us to it, and all you have to do is climb the little rope off to the left-hand side and get to the treasure before them. I don't know if it's actually possible. I should try it sometime. Like, what happens if you do not get to the treasure first? Is that even possible? I don't know, but you get to the treasure at the top, and of course you have a little cutscene here, and it is way less cool than the NES cutscene. Not to compare them again, but in NES you have way more treasure, and when you hop into it, you have like a little treasure crown as well on top of Scrooge's head, and that's just simply missing from the Game Boy. I know it's a minor animation, but I did like that little crown he had in the NES version. And then you have the basically the Duck News, or what was the name of it? Duck Press. You gotta get to the correct name here of the newspaper, and it basically says that Scrooge has found all of his treasures and he is the richest duck in the world again. And there are a lot of hyphens on this screen. I don't know if they could have condensed the text a little bit to maybe take some of those away, but this is I don't know, it's a bit of a mess as far as the the aesthetic appeal of the text. At this point, Scrooge McDuck's his nephew show up and like, hey, don't forget about us. And Scrooge says, you know what? Because my family journeyed along with me and I have my family, I truly am the richest duck of all. A nice little sentimental ending for Scrooge McDuck. And I believe that was pretty much in line with the DuckTales cartoon as well, as far as like his overall attitude. But this game as an overall is still a ton of fun. Yes, it's not quite as good as the NES, but like I said, the charm is there, the spirit is there. If you're not comparing them directly, you're going to have a blast going through it. And even if you do compare it, I still think you're going to have fun going through it because, like I said, the basic gameplay, the basic mechanics, they're all there. And it's just a fun, quick pick up and play game. Maybe 30 minutes to an hour to finish it. You know, as if you speed run it, maybe 30 minutes. Take your time to explore everything, maybe close to an hour. But really easy game, really fun game. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. That's probably my final ranking on it. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Check out my other videos and stuff above. And go out there, find a great game to play. Simply have a great rest of the day.